Hey there, Wargamers, Just Leon Painter here, and you guys are tuning in for part 7 of my Paint Mephiston tutorial series. I'd like to welcome all of you here today. If this is your first time catching my tutorial series, I encourage you to check out my playlist and my YouTube library so you can get caught up on everything we've done on Mephiston up until now. But today I encourage you guys to get your paintbrushes, your airbrushes, and your paints, and paint alongside me as we start to tackle the glow effects on his power weapon. So here we've got Mephiston, and as I was saying before, if you're not familiar with everything we've done currently, I highly recommend you check out my playlist and my YouTube library so you can get caught up on everything we've done. So I've got a little bit of Tamiya masking tape here, and I've applied it to the leg of my pants actually, but you could use a shirt as well. And the theory is behind doing that is you'll take your tape and you'll lay it across your shirt or your pants, and you'll pull it up a few times, right? So you're getting some of that adhesive backing off so that it's less tacky. You want it to stick well to the model but not peel off the paint. So as we come in here to start preparing for the sword, I do want to mask off the areas behind it because I don't want to overspray on all the beautiful work that we've done thus far. So we'll just come in here, roll that tape around his body here, and just try and gently mask off the miniature so that we're not going to get that overspray issue. So I've got a few pieces of tape here, and we're going to make sure that we're going to make super sure that as we do the Emperor's work here and paint this miniature, that we do so in such a way that we don't ruin our work. That would be a terrible, terrible series of events. I would cry. We spent all this time on this tutorial so far and this miniature, and if we messed it up now, it would just be bad times all around. The Adeptus Compendius group of individuals would be none too pleased with our capabilities should that be something that we allow to transpire. So rather than mess up the model, we're going to spend all that extra time masking it off here just to make sure nothing can get oversprayed. Don't want any overspray. Yep. And with our last piece of tape here, we're just going to kind of come in and grab right up towards the, what's that, the tang? Is that right? Is that the tang? Or the finger guard, something like that, just to try and make sure that his glove doesn't get hit. Now if we do get a little bit of glow overspray on the hand, it might not be the end of the world because the it may it may look like an OSL, object source lighting kind of effect, but we want to minimize that stuff. We don't want it to go too crazy. And there's probably a simpler way to do this if you've got some other form of masking that works well for you, but in this case we've blocked off the sword. Should be minimal ability for us to damage or mess up any of the other work we've done here on the miniature, unless we somehow blast over here, which we shouldn't, because we should be spraying right in here, so we should be fine. Now for today, we are going to be using my handy dandy Sotar from Badger. This is Sotar 2020, and along with that, we're going to be using some Lagoon Blue here from Badger. Now we're going to use this to apply a little bit of a haze kind of around the coils and radiating out towards the edge of the blade. Now, if you guys have seen me do power weapons before, you'll know that I like to do a glow kind of all over the area. But in this case, I do want to kind of confine it here so it gives the same kind of effect that we've got in the product photo. So we want to have a resonating, emanating type glow. I guess resonating might be wrong. An emanating glow that diffuses out towards the rest of the blades, kind of what we're going to go for. So let's go ahead and get our Lagoon Blue loaded up and start laying down some colors. All right, so we've got our Lagoon Blue loaded up here in our airbrush, and we're going to come in and we're going to tackle a light blue glow around these kind of coils that emanate the lightning effect. So less can be more with this, so go nice and easy and get a nice kind of emanating blue. So I don't have a glove on today, so we're going to spray a little bit on the base here, make sure we're getting some paint coming out. We do. A moment of truth. Let's get in here and lay down some blue glow. With our airbrush now cleaned out and this paint now dry, it's time to come in with our white to apply the lightning effects. For that, I've mixed up some Winsor & Newton Professional Acrylic Titanium White here. You don't have to use this, but I find this is a really nice acrylic white to work with, especially when thinned down. So we're going to come in here, we're going to attack the coils first. Get a nice hot spot on that. Nice hot spot on this one. And then we're going to come in and follow the wire to the coil itself, just like so. Hit this one. Pretty straightforward. You guys can do this. Pretty straightforward. Boop, 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 boop. All right. Now for the fun part, we're going to follow the coils here and try and do some interesting lightning arcs kind of emanating out. You don't want to do straight lines with this. You want to do stuff that's kind of shaky and resembles lightning. Just paint lightning, for lack of a better word. Yes, Justin will do that. No, in all honesty, one of the things I like to do is kind of allow my hand to shake a little bit and let the lightning arcs kind of form from an unsteady hand, so to speak. That kind of gives it a natural wobble and feel to it. That is a little bit easier to do on larger areas versus this really small area. But with a little bit of practice, you can get some cool looking lightning effects too. Maybe even stuff that looks better than this one. All right, and as a final thing here, we're going to apply a little bit of an edge highlight to the blade, just a little bit. I'm going to try and feather that out. We want, because this is where the lightning's hitting, the blade ideally would be lit up and hot. Right? So about halfway down the blade there, I'm cleaning out my paintbrush real quick. I'm going to grab right where the white was and just kind of feather that out a little bit, smooth and blend it. I'll come over here, we'll do the same thing, trace the outer edges of the blade where the blue and the lightning arcs are. Let's get a little bit right here, right there. Okay. Rotating here so I get a little bit of a better angle to apply this edge highlight with. Very subtle, right up to the edge. Clean my brush out, feathered that a little bit. So we want that white to fade into the blade. We want that to be really hot, and it's just kind of vibrating the blade. In the product photo, it's the same kind of process here, where they've got the glow here and this right here. So now we're going to come in with some inks from Green Stuff World and get this glow looking really nice. So with our white now dry, we can come in and apply those inks to get the glow looking really nice and bring it all together. For that, I had mentioned we will be using the Green Stuff World inks, and we will be specifically using the Viridis, I think, green. It's a little bit smudged off, but I believe that's the Viridis green, and the Tenebris blue. And I mixed these in a 1-to-1 ratio with just a little smidge of airbrush flow improver and thinner from Vallejo. Now, specifically, I did 2 drops of the blue and the green, 1 drop of this, 1 drop of this, just to thin it down a little bit. All right, so I've tested out the mix here. We've got our PSI set. So now we're gonna come in and apply this, this thin down mixed ink to the blue and the white areas, focusing on the top half of the blade and leaving the bottom half alone. So let's go ahead and get to that. Boom, just like that, we've got the ink now dry and the masking material off. And you can see this really cool blue glow that we've got. A little bit more intense maybe than the GW product photo, but very close, very cool. The last thing that we're going to want to do is to come in and enhance the hot spots. So for that, we're going to come back in with our white mix here, the titanium white. Again, whatever white you're comfortable using would be fine. I've got a smaller brush here, and we want to kind of go over the same areas where we did the hot spots before, like the side of the blade here, and on top of the coils and the lightning arcs, but we want to make sure we're doing it a bit more subtle and controlled because we don't want to just box it all in. We want these to be the hot spots on the blade, the hot spots on the lightning, things of that nature. So using the side of the brush here, I'm focusing on the tips of the blade, the points, the edge, so to speak. And we'll kind of come around here, hit that. We're going to go down the side of the blade here, just like we did before, kind of feather that out. Just like so. That's looking really nice. I really like how this is coming together. Right, we'll rotate it and we'll do the same thing on this side over here. And notice I'm using my thumb here to get a lot of excess paint off. Just trying to have just enough to get the cool, crisp edge highlight we're going for and not have a crazy mess of white going on there. I'd rather spend a little extra time trying to have to block in the edge highlights here than to have to spend time fixing it because I mashed a bunch of paint down, which is what can happen if your brush is loaded with too much paint and you go to press down to do an edge highlight. You could just smear paint on. So go easy and slow with this, be patient, and you'll get a really cool effect. Now, just like we did on the other side of the blade, we're going to taper down here with the edge highlight down the side, and I'm going to clean the brush out real fast, and while it's still wet, grab the edge right here and just try and feather that and blend it down. So we want it to transition from the hot white to the kind of shining silvery edge that we've got. So we've got the edges of the blade. Actually, looking at that, I want this one to be a little bit more bright here. This bottom side looks a little brighter. I want the top side to be a little bit more intense as well. So grab a little bit more of that paint, hit right here, feather that down. There we go. And again, clean brush, just kind of smooth that out. And with a little bit more thought and care this time, we're going to heat up the edge of these coils. So we don't want to hit the whole thing, we're just going to hit the kind of edges of it so it looks like it's emanating the heat, the hot lightning from the tip here. That's what we're going for. Now let's come in and hit the coil, or the wires leading up to the coils themselves. Just put a little bit of very gentle white edge highlight on that. The illusion that it's hot. Right now it's almost 2 hairs and some air, barely touching. Just trying to slide that white paint right on there. Now for the part that's really going to bring this all together, we're going to come in with some of this white paint and we're going to start enhancing the lightning arcs. So we don't want to just fill all of them up here, so we're going to try and hit some of the high spots on the lightning. Just enhance those. So if you can, you want to leave some of the edges of the blue still present. You want it to look like this is the hot core of each bolt, which can be difficult if your initial lightning arcs, like mine, were a little bit thin. So it makes it a little bit difficult to leave some of that blue showing, but this takes a little bit of practice, and once you get it, you got it. You'll be doing all kinds of cool glowing lightning effects and lighting effects on all your models. And the philosophy here, the technique with doing the lightning arcs is very similar to doing other glowing effects as well. You just want to have the bright light source next to the darker one to give the illusion of lights and shadows. And with the lightning arcs, if you just have all the white arcs all over the blade, it'll look like lightning, but the effect gets sold when you have the transitions, the gradients, the kind of fading, diffusing lightning bolts as well, or parts of the arc. Perhaps right here it's crackled, and this is the remnants. You know, it's flowing up the blade, and here it's a little bit fainter because it's moved. It's really going to help sell the lighting and lightning effect, and that same kind of philosophy is going to hold true for doing other OSL effects. You got to have the shadows and the build-up if you want the light source to look more like light. So it takes a little practice, but you guys can do it. And honestly, I'm not perfect at it, but I look at an effect and I really want to try it and kind of just go at it. So have fun with this. You're adding character and detail to your Space Marines or your model, or maybe your Tau fusion blasters or your shield drones and shield effects and things like that on your model. So don't get too bogged down in trying to perfect an effect that you find you're not actually painting a model or finishing it. Finish a model, do the best you can, move on to the next one, and you'll get better and better each time, I promise. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, if you happen to be using any of these techniques or have developed ones of your own, I encourage you to sound off in the comments below. I'd love to get a conversation going. I'd love to see what you're working on. Can't see it if you don't share it. So if you have any work, got an Instagram, maybe I encourage you to sound off in the comments below. And additionally, and even more cool, if you want to be more cool, that is, if you're not already cool, you're watching this video and hopefully learning something, so you got to be somewhat cool, right? A little bit of trolls there, a little banter. But if you'd like to be super cool, I encourage you to pop into our Facebook and Discord pages, the T.A.P Garrison. I have some links in the description below. It's not just a fan club for myself. It's way more than that. Honestly, I don't even consider it a fan club. It is what it really is, which is a community for like-minded artists and individuals who can come together, share their craft and their art, and enjoy good friendship. So if you'd like to be a member of that, I encourage you to check out those links and join. And then you can share your work all the time. As I've babbled here, though, we are almost finished enhancing our lightning bolts. I did mess up a little bit right in here. I'll probably come back with a little bit more white just to fix the mess up It was a little bit too intense, and then I couldn't get the white off quick enough. So now I'm just going to go with it and kind of make it look like a really bright hot spot, because I covered up too much of that blue. But as Bob Ross would say, we don't make mistakes, we have happy little accidents, and I'm just going to roll with the punches here and try and fix what I messed up. Sometimes it happens. You just gotta work at it and do the best you can. I am no exception to that either. All right, and just like that, we've got our lightning arcs now enhanced. The edge of the blades lit up quite nicely. I think this looks great. Now, I did go ahead and come in with a little bit of that mix by hand. Our Verdigris green and Temibris, how do you say this? Temibris blue right here. I mixed those up just a little bit, got just enough of my paintbrush to come in and kind of tone down those white areas that I mentioned before that I got a little bit overboard with. So you can come in and you can enhance and push those depths and those shadows and so forth with that by hand if you don't want to do it with the airbrush when you get to this point, which I would recommend. If you want to come in and fix stuff, do that little bit of like a kind of glaze coat by hand so that you don't lose all the white areas that you've built up. Because I was able to come in, apply where I needed it, and feather it out to fix up my mistakes. But as Bob Ross would say, we don't have we don't make mistakes, we have happy little accidents, and I think this blade has came out quite nicely. I feel like this was a nice final touch, so to speak, of detail to the model here. And while I still need to do the freehand and the basing, this lighting effect has really helped sell in the model, I think, and bring him together and to resemble something from the product photo. So I really do like this. Hopefully this effect is something easy for you guys to follow and replicate on your miniatures. And as I said before, if you do anything like this, sound off in the comments below with links to your Instagram, or pop into our Discord or Facebook groups and share those links of your, or share those pictures of your models and stuff with us. But on that note, I think we're going to conclude with today's tutorial because this blade is looking awesome. Be sure to tune into part 8 where we work on the next steps for Mephiston, where we will be tackling the freehand or the basing on him in episodes 8 and 9. I'm not sure exactly what order it'll be in, but those will be what's coming up, and you'll get to see the conclusion of the miniature then. And there you have it, folks. That was super fast, super clean, really easy lightning effect applied, and honestly I think it's one of my best power weapons yet. And I've done a few tutorials like this in the past, and this one has turned out quite stellar. I'm actually really excited to share this with you guys. I hope it's something easy for you to follow, and I can't wait to share the images of this particular miniature with the client. This is for Wheels, Chris Oakes from the Garrison, one of my Patreon supporters, and this is his miniature for technically January. We're still in February because I haven't finished filming the tutorial, which his model got to be featured in, but cannot wait to share this with him because he's looking so awesome. I honestly think it's probably my top 3 of miniatures I've ever painted. I don't toot my horn too often, but I'm super excited about the way this miniature is coming together. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed painting alongside me. If you did, if not, at least, perhaps, maybe I was a little bit entertaining and maybe you've learned something along the way. If you're not already, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, smash it for the Emperor! Join the Garrison, join the crew here. The Emperor demands it. If not, the Fallen. No, the Fallen won't come for you. The Ravenwing will. We'll come bring you in. We're going to get you to be a part of this community at some point or another. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to like the video as well. Hit ding that little bell so you get alerts when I put up new content. And be on the lookout for part 8 and 9 of the Paint Mephiston tutorial series where we will be concluding him and getting him finished and ready to ship off to the client. If you'd like to support the channel here, I encourage you guys to check out deathrodesigns.com. Coupon code GETAMPED10 will save you 10%, and a portion of those proceeds will be given to me in the form of a bonus check, which is awesome, helps keep me employed and continue to produce content for you guys, which I love to do. And if you guys want to be super supporters, I encourage you guys to check out my Patreon page here. Your pledge, no matter how large or small, really does help continue to make sure the content is flowing. This particular tutorial was brought to you by Wheels. He's my #1 supporter on Patreon, followed very closely by Clan Wolf, which is David from the community as well. They are helping to ensure that we put out at least 2 videos a month. And this one in particular is going to be in multi-parts, but it is the tutorial series, and Clan Wolf's helping to fund the battle report. So if you want to support the content, support me, and help push forward what I do and help the community grow, there's an option there for you. We've got a variety of pledge tiers, both small and large, and anything in between, with some pretty cool rewards to give back to you guys as well. So I'd really appreciate you taking some time to check that out. Maybe there'll be something that works for you, but if not, again, I always welcome you guys to come watch these videos. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you think, what I could do to improve, anything at all. I'd love to get a conversation going, so let me know what you think. But on that note, folks, we're going to conclude this video. Again, make sure you're on the lookout for part 8 and 9. And as always, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Keep painting those models, keep rolling those dice, and I will catch you guys next time.